Forget Donut Lab. Forget their solid-state batteries. Stop paying attention to a company full of gimmicks like that. We already have a far more reliable solid-state battery. 400 watt-hours per kilogram energy density, delivering up to 1,500 kilometers or 932 miles, with safety reportedly improved by over 70%. More importantly, this company plans to begin testing solid-state battery installations in vehicles before Q3 2026. We know you may not believe it, but this is what was announced on stage by Changan Automobile. We regret discovering them so late. They deserve far more attention. Changan Automobile is one of China's big four automakers, with an extensive product portfolio spanning multiple sub-brands that cover everything from affordable cars to luxury electric vehicles. What brought them onto our radar, however, is their solid-state battery, arguably the best available today, and potentially the biggest breakthrough in history. It's not an exaggeration to say the entire world will be eager to get its hands on this battery, and it will be a slap in the face to Donut Lab. Solid-state batteries have long been considered the holy grail of battery technology. There are many reasons, but the simplest is that they address nearly all the fundamental weaknesses of traditional lithium-ion batteries. Instead of using flammable liquid electrolytes, solid-state batteries use solid electrolyte materials, significantly reducing the risk of fire while enabling more favorable electrochemical reactions. This structural shift allows solid-state batteries to achieve much higher energy density, meaning that with the same battery weight, a vehicle can travel much farther. This is the single most critical factor in the EV race, where driving range remains the biggest concern for users. Changan Automobile claims its Golden Bell solid-state battery reaches an energy density of up to 400 watt-hours per kilogram. If accurate, this figure would send shockwaves across the entire industry. For comparison, most current EV batteries fall in the 150 to 250 watt-hours per kilogram range. Clearly, many of us have become fixated on what's called energy density whenever a new battery technology is announced. A typical example is Donut Lab's solid-state battery. It made a splash with claims of 400 watt-hours per kilogram energy density, 100,000 cycles, and 5-minute charging. However, so far, none of the tests have revealed much, and the only thing we really know is that they have a strong marketing strategy, keeping people skeptical, interested, and curious by releasing a new test video every 2 weeks, which eventually becomes tiresome. So until they can prove the claimed 400 watt-hours per kilogram energy density, we'll take a closer look later for now. Let's set them aside. By contrast, when you hear about a battery technology coming from China, it tends to feel far more credible, because frankly, they usually deliver on what they claim. With Changan's Golden Bell battery, they even held a dedicated event where the 400 watt-hours per kilogram figure was clearly displayed on screen. Even the most advanced battery technologies today rarely exceed 300 watt-hours per kilogram. That means Changan's battery could nearly double the current standard in terms of energy density. It's no surprise, then, that the company claims its vehicles can achieve a range of over 1,500 kilometers CLTC on a single charge. This specification has been officially announced on stage. Of course, the 1,500 kilometer figure may be theoretical or measured under ideal conditions, but even if it drops to a more realistic range, say around 1,000 to 1,200 kilometers, it would still represent a massive leap forward. It wouldn't just eliminate range anxiety, it would bring electric vehicles closer to, or even beyond, internal combustion engine cars in terms of convenience. Long road trips through remote areas, where charging infrastructure is still limited, would no longer be a major concern. Beyond performance, the Golden Bell battery is also designed with intelligence in mind. By 2026, integrating artificial intelligence into batteries is no longer far-fetched. Changan's battery is said to support remote diagnostics, real-time performance monitoring, and predictive failure detection before issues even occur. This effectively transforms the battery from a passive component into an active system capable of taking care of itself. In addition, the company claims a safety improvement of up to 70% compared to conventional batteries, thanks to the elimination of flammable liquid electrolytes, one of the primary causes of EV fire incidents. To better understand just how groundbreaking Changan's solid-state battery is, it helps to place it in the context of today's battery technologies. First, there's LFP battery, widely used by companies like BYD and even Tesla on some of its models. As mentioned before, LFP's biggest advantages are low cost, high safety, and long lifespan. However, its main drawback has always been relatively low energy density, typically around 150 to 180 watt-hours per kilogram. This means vehicles using LFP batteries either have shorter driving ranges or must rely on larger, heavier battery packs to compensate. Compared to LFP, Changan's solid-state battery is almost superior across the board. With an energy density of 400 watt-hours per kilogram, it could deliver double or even more the driving range without increasing battery size. This not only makes vehicles lighter but also improves overall performance, from acceleration to energy efficiency. Next is nickel-manganese cobalt battery, commonly used in higher-end vehicles due to its higher energy density, typically around 200 to 300 watt-hours per kilogram. However, NMC comes with higher costs, relies on scarce materials like cobalt, and carries greater safety risks compared to LFP. While NMC has long been considered the pinnacle of lithium-ion battery technology, it still falls short of what Changan's solid-state battery is claiming. If NMC represents the peak of the current generation, then solid-state batteries clearly belong to an entirely new generation. Looking at the Tesla 4680 battery, considered a major leap forward for Tesla. It's also primarily an improvement within the traditional lithium-ion framework. The 4680 battery optimizes cell design, reduces costs, and increases efficiency, but fundamentally remains unchanged in terms of technology. Don't misunderstand. We mean the 4680 battery is still good with an energy density of nearly 300 watt-hours per kilogram. The only issue is that it's not as powerful as solid-state batteries. However, the biggest question remains, can Changan actually deliver on its promises? The history of the technology industry is full of promises that far exceed reality. But it's noteworthy that China has repeatedly demonstrated its ability to commercialize technology quickly. CATL and BYD not only developed the technology, but also deployed it on a large scale in a very short time. If Changan can do the same with solid-state batteries, the competitive advantage they create will be enormous. In this context, Western automakers like Ford Motor Company and General Motors will face immense pressure. They could continue developing their own technology, but that would take time. Or they might be forced to cooperate with Chinese companies to avoid being left behind. Either way, the balance of power in the electric vehicle industry is clearly shifting. And it's not just about solid-state batteries. While this video mainly focuses on Changan's Golden Bell solid-state battery, there's another type of battery they're developing in partnership with CATL. And this one opens up a completely different path compared to solid-state technology. It may not be as powerful as solid-state batteries, but it carries significant implications for more affordable vehicles. While most of the world is still focused on lithium, yes, we've become heavily dependent on it, with volatile pricing and growing pressure to find alternatives. Sodium-ion batteries are steadily emerging. We've all heard about them, to the point of fatigue, but it's clear that many people still don't fully realize just how advanced China's sodium-ion technology has become. Sodium is incredibly abundant, found almost everywhere, even in seawater. This immediately addresses one of the EV industry's biggest challenges: cost and supply chains. If lithium is the white gold of the new energy era, then sodium is more like salt, cheap, widely available, and virtually inexhaustible. That's why when Changan Automobile and CATL announced the new Naxtra sodium battery, it drew serious attention. Its energy density is around 175 watt-hours per kilogram, significantly lower than solid-state batteries or even some high-end lithium-ion packs, but that's not the main point. What makes the Naxtra battery special lies elsewhere: cost, durability, and performance under extreme conditions. One of its biggest advantages is its ability to operate in extremely low temperatures. According to reports, the Naxtra battery can discharge at temperatures as low as -50 degrees Celsius while maintaining stable performance. This is a massive advantage, especially for countries with cold climates or high-altitude regions where lithium-ion batteries often struggle. In such conditions, lithium batteries can lose a significant portion of their capacity and charge much more slowly, but sodium largely overcomes this issue. In addition, the Naxtra battery offers a driving range of over 248 miles. That may not sound impressive compared to solid-state batteries, but it's more than reasonable for the mass market segment. In reality, most EV users don't need more than 600 miles. A vehicle capable of 186 to 248 miles per charge is already sufficient for daily use and even short trips. What matters more is affordability and low operating costs. And this is exactly where sodium batteries could outperform lithium. Without relying on expensive materials like lithium, nickel, or cobalt, production costs could be significantly lower, potentially even in some projections. If that becomes reality, it could unlock EV adoption on an unprecedented scale. Affordable electric cars, possibly even cheaper than gasoline vehicles, would no longer be a distant vision. What's particularly interesting is that Changan Automobile isn't just researching this technology. They already have concrete deployment plans. The Changan Nivo Q05 and Changan Nivo A06 are expected to be the first models equipped with Naxtra batteries. This shows that the technology is no longer confined to labs or concept stages. It's rapidly approaching real-world consumers. Compared to solid-state batteries, sodium batteries may not be as flashy. They don't promise 1,500 kilometers of range or 400 watt-hours per kilogram energy density. But from a practical perspective, they might be even more important. Because technology doesn't just need to be the best, it needs to be the most suitable for the majority. And sodium batteries check all the right boxes: affordable, durable, safe, and capable of performing well across a wide range of environmental conditions. When you place sodium batteries alongside current technologies, the differences become even clearer. Compared to LFP, already considered a low-cost and safe option, sodium batteries could be even cheaper, while also being far less affected by low temperatures. Compared to NMC, they clearly fall behind in energy density, but outperform in cost and sustainability. And compared to solid-state batteries, sodium batteries are more of a practical solution, whereas solid-state represents the optimal solution. What's important is that these two paths don't cancel each other out. In fact, they can coexist and serve different segments of the market. Solid-state batteries will likely be reserved for premium vehicles and long-range applications, where performance is the top priority. Meanwhile, sodium batteries are better suited for mass-market cars, urban vehicles, or even large-scale energy storage systems. Of course, as we dug deeper into this type of battery, we realized that the story of sodium-ion technology is not a sudden breakthrough, but rather a grueling relay race spanning more than 4 decades, one in which scientific dreams were long overshadowed by the towering presence of its sibling, lithium-ion. To understand why it took so many years, we have to rewind to the 1970 and 1980 when scientists first began to recognize the potential of storing energy in electrochemical cells. At that time, sodium and lithium stood on roughly equal footing in theory. However, fate took a different turn when lithium-ion batteries demonstrated superior energy density and greater compatibility with the electrode materials available at the time. As a result, the world's financial and intellectual resources poured into optimizing lithium to power the mobile device revolution. For the next 2 decades, sodium batteries were left behind in dusty laboratories. Labeled as the loser due to a fundamental physical barrier, sodium ions are about 25% larger than lithium ions, making it extremely difficult for them to fit into the crystal structures of electrode materials, like trying to stuff a soccer ball into a compartment designed for tennis balls. This mismatch led to rapid structural degradation after only a few charge-discharge cycles, resulting in very short lifespans and virtually no commercial viability for early sodium batteries. The challenges went beyond size. Sodium's higher atomic weight and lower electrochemical potential meant it was often seen as heavier and weaker. Unable to compete in a world where phones were getting thinner and electric vehicles needed longer range, the real turning point came when materials scientists discovered the key to taming sodium atoms by developing hard carbon structures for the anode, replacing graphite, which performs poorly with sodium. Finding a suitable storage material required enormous trial and error, consuming thousands of experimental hours to create pathways wide enough for sodium ions to move without collapsing the entire crystal lattice. At the same time, advances in transition metal oxides and Prussian blue analogs for the cathode helped sodium batteries gradually close the performance gap. Yet even as the technology made significant progress, the biggest barrier remained economics of scale. With lithium supply chains already highly optimized and cost-effective due to mass production, building new infrastructure for sodium was a risky gamble that few companies were willing to take. Everything began to change when the global electric vehicle boom surged in the early 2020, driving lithium prices sky high and raising concerns about resource scarcity. This forced energy giants to reconsider the virtually limitless supply of sodium derived from seawater. The current rise of sodium-ion batteries is the result of 3 converging factors: bottlenecks in the lithium supply chain, breakthroughs in nanomaterial science to handle larger ions, and the urgent need for renewable energy storage systems that prioritize safety and affordability over ultra-high energy density. It is a journey from obscurity into the spotlight, proving that in science, an idea never truly dies, it simply waits for the right moment. When both technology and economic conditions have matured, to assert its value on the global energy stage. This is an incredibly smart strategy from Changan Automobile, instead of betting on a single technology. They are developing multiple pathways in parallel. Collaboration with CATL is also a key factor. CATL is currently the world's largest battery manufacturer, with production experience and scale that few companies can match. When a company like this enters the sodium battery space, it almost guarantees that the technology can be commercialized quickly and at scale. This is no longer a small-scale experiment. It's a true industrial strategy. Looking more broadly, sodium batteries could have an impact not only on the electric vehicle industry, but across the entire energy ecosystem. With their low cost and high durability, they are well suited for renewable energy storage such as solar and wind power. This is especially important as the world transitions toward clean energy. An affordable and long-lasting battery system could help solve the storage problem, one of the biggest barriers to renewable energy adoption. Of course, sodium batteries still have their limitations. Lower energy density means vehicles either need larger battery packs or must accept shorter driving ranges. However, with continuous improvements, this gap can gradually be narrowed. More importantly, in many use cases, this drawback is not a major issue. The key point here is that not every revolution comes from creating the best solution. Sometimes, what changes the world is something that is good enough but cheaper, more accessible, and scalable. Sodium batteries may be exactly that kind of innovation. Batteries are not just a component of EVs. They are the foundation of an entirely new ecosystem. From transportation and energy storage to solar and wind power, whoever controls battery technology holds a decisive advantage in shaping the energy economy of the 21st century. And at this moment, China is moving very close to that position. Not by copying, but through innovation, optimization, and most importantly, deployment at a scale that the rest of the world struggles to match. Changan's solid-state batteries represent the pinnacle of performance, where electric vehicles can travel farther, operate more safely, and break through current limitations. Meanwhile, sodium batteries carry a deeper significance. They democratize technology, turning electric vehicles from a premium product into something accessible to hundreds of millions of people. One represents the future of performance, the other, the future of scale, and China is pursuing both at the same time. This raises a major question for the rest of the world. Will they compete, collaborate, or be left behind? Technologies like LFP, NMC, and even innovations such as Tesla's 4680 battery are still highly important. But they are clearly no longer the final destination. The game has changed, and so have the rules. In the end, the story is no longer about who copies whom. Instead, it's about who is leading. China is showing that it is not just participating in the race, but rewriting how the race itself is run. If this trend continues, the world may have to get used to a new reality. The future of global energy may not be shaped in Silicon Valley or Europe, but very likely is being built in China.